To talk more about this drone revolution and who's profiting from it, joining us now is Amy Stepanovich, Associate Litigation Counsel with Epic. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
So let's talk more about who is exactly cashing in on putting drones in our skies.
Well, you see, in February 2012, Congress passed a law requiring the FAA to allow more drones in the skies. Now, that law was almost verbatim. In fact, they brag about it. Put into place by the drone manufacturers, the drone lobby, who wrote exactly what they wanted to be in the law, sent it to Congress. Congress kind of passed it through without much looking at it, and it is now in the hands of the FAA, who, based on Congress's action, has to allow a certain number of drones in the airspace in the next few years.
And this drone lobby has become, as you just hinted, a very powerful lobby. So can we expect their influence to only grow?
I think so. This is a growing industry. I think it's something that people put a lot of time and money into over the years because of drones' use and in the war environment. And now as that environment is starting to not need drones as much, they're looking at other avenues. They're looking at other ways to sell their product. And one of those is for use in the United States, for public safety and for surveillance. And I think that's where we're really concerned about.
And so what would that mean for the average American citizen to have so many of these drones hovering in our skies?
I think it means that you are going to have to walk out and just expect to be on camera, to potentially be on camera 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what we're hoping, what Epic is trying to do and what a lot of other organizations are working at, is to making sure that that doesn't happen, and to making sure that people can feel comfortable when they look up and see these things in the sky, knowing that they're not allowed to tape them at all times. They're not allowed to conduct this round-the-clock surveillance, and that there are limits put into place.
And so this is all being done, taxpayer money being spent on putting these drones up. I mean, is it paying off? Do they make us safer?
It hasn't been shown that they do. In fact, it hasn't been shown that they do much of anything. Not only do they not make us safer, they might make us less safe. We have records where drones have actually narrowly missed hitting manned aircraft, passenger planes, which could be potentially dangerous in the skies. They're not effective for law enforcement. There's been no evidence showing that they really raise the bar in how much they're able to do, how much they're able to get done. And they're very, very expensive. And people, as the report that just came out about Customs and Border Protection showed, they're not able to recoup the costs that they put into these aircraft.
Now, typically, like, we've seen these drones being used on the border. And now, since we're going to be seeing more of them and there is a push to use them domestically, I guess it looks like it's heading in the direction of law enforcement being able to use these things. And I mean, what does that mean? Is the line blurring between the military and local law enforcement?
We hope not, but it looks like that might be the case, especially when you look at the Predator drones and aircraft that are traditionally and have been really put into place to be used in wartime environments. And the thought of bringing those over and having them spy on American citizens, some police departments have asked about weaponizing these drones with tasers or with rubber shotguns. And there's just a great amount of concern there. And not only is it law enforcement buying these drones on their own, but one of the prominent manufacturers, Raytheon, actually advertises on its right when you go to their website, if you want a drone and you don't want to pay for it, go to the Department of Homeland Security and DHS will buy one for you. There are grants available and we can get you one.
Now, wanted to mention, because proponents of drones say that this is, this is cutting edge technology. We can put something up in the sky that does the job. We don't need to put lives at risk, and it's done efficiently. They say that drones have been used to seize illegal people on the border. They've been used to seize tens of thousands of pounds of drugs. What do you make of that argument that they can be used for our safety if they're used correctly? Well,
they're however many pounds of drugs they're claiming they're being used to seize is actually such a small percentage of how many drugs we seize coming in the border. It's actually kind of comical because they say the number, but they don't say what percentage that is of what they do all the time. Now, we do admit there are positive uses for drones in the United States. They've been used to do mapping and route out maybe environmental abuse from a factory. There's one specific instance where it found that a factory was just drastically abusing the environment around it. They can be used in safety situations, maybe to monitor forest fires, or if maybe somebody goes over a cliff, they can be used to fly down and monitor that person's condition until a rescue can be undertaken. However, the incredible amount of surveillance equipment that these drones can carry just doesn't always justify having them up in the air, especially not without really comprehensive protections that just aren't in place right now.
And these drones, they're getting bigger and bigger and better and badder and more advanced. This mega drone just came out. It can fly 11 miles in the sky for extended days and days at a time. I mean, where does it end? I mean, these things just keep getting bigger and better.
Well, and traditionally, technology is only going to increase. So they're not only getting bigger, but they're also getting a lot smaller. There are teeny tiny drones. There's one at 2 feet. They call it a 2-foot switchblade drone that can kind of follow you up the street and surveil you that way. And they're getting more advanced. And I think as time goes on, we can only continue to expect them to get more and more advanced.
What can be done about this? I mean, this is a relatively new technology. Do more regulations need to be put in place in order to ensure citizens' privacy, or what can be done for people that are concerned about these things hovering in our skies?
Well, EPIC has gone to the FAA, and we've asked them to put into place comprehensive privacy protections grounded in principles of transparency and principles of accountability to make sure that anybody that operates drones in the United States will be operating them in a privacy protective manner. A lot of citizens have had success going to their state and local governments, asking them to pass local ordinances or regulations, banning drones altogether, banning weaponized drones, making sure that surveillance equipment can't be used against citizens. And most recently, Senator Rand Paul and House Representative Austin Scott have introduced kind of narrow legislation which would prevent drones from being used for criminal surveillance without a warrant being obtained first. So there are steps being taken, but I think we need to just keep pursuing this and making sure that there are protections.
Okay, so we just talked a lot about the possibility of drones being used on this level domestically. To what extent do you think drones have been successful in their use abroad, in Afghanistan and Pakistan?
Well, this isn't something we normally get into at EPIC. We're very much focused on the privacy of domestic individuals, people in the United States or people who are citizens of the United States. However, drones, as I have said, have typically been used overseas. And this is a program that the Obama administration is just starting to recognize has taken place. It's been over there for quite some time. And details are starting to come out and be publicly acknowledged. So I think as more and more details come out, we're going to be able to evaluate that program and see how significant it is that wartime technologies are now being used in non-wartime locations without being targeted to wartime principles, and what that is going to mean.
Right. And as you had mentioned earlier, moving out of wartime, a lot of these drones are going to be moving into our own country. To what extent are they used today here in the U.S.? Well,
we know for a fact that there are about 300 active drone authorizations for them to be operated in the United States. Recently, a group came out and said that they have found that there are 64 bases where military drones are operated. We know that the Customs and Border Protection Bureau, who monitors the borders, has 10 Predator drones or Reaper drones. It's a variant of the Predator, which are capable of being weaponized. And just recently, the FAA has taken their first action into allowing more drones in the United States and kind of opened up the realm for law enforcement to purchase drones. They're going to take immediate steps to make it easier for police departments. So they are being used now. They're not uncommon, but they're about to get a lot more common.
Oh boy, well, I guess we have a lot to look out for, and we'll see how far it goes. We wish you success on your the legislation, and hopefully helping us get some kind of a privacy as these things continue to expand in our skies. Amy, thank you so much for being on the show. That was Amy Stepanovich, Associate Litigation Counsel with EPIC.